Well, hello and welcome back to another episode of TM3 Life. Welcome to spring in Vermont, or as we like to call it here, mud season. Anyway, let's get out of here because walking in this, well, it's a little gross. So let's go ahead and open the garage. I'm going to use my app to do that. Not sure if you can see that, but we have a little home link option right here. I'm going to hit that. And I'm going to confirm that yes, I do want to open the garage. So today we'll take the Tesla out for a drive. Let's go. Whoa. Hold on a second. I think you're well aware that that's not my Tesla. Looks like a Mustang Mach-E to me. This could be exciting. Let's say we take it for a spin and check it out. Alright, let's see how we get into this thing. Looks like just a press of this button here. Yeah, pull the door right open. Okay, so we're in the Mach-E. Let's see if we can start it up here. Let's see what the procedure for starting is. Looks like we have a start button here. Oh yeah, that seems to do it. Oh no, I guess maybe I have to push on the brake. Push on the brake, yep, just like a regular vehicle, and push the start button. There we go. Okay, not sure I like that noise. Not the most entertaining noise in the world. Seems like things are waking up here. Boy, that's odd. Seems to take a little bit of time. Maybe it has a little bit of an issue with the metal roof in my garage. Alright. So as you can see, the layout here, we've got a large portrait shaped display, and then we've got a thin horizontal binnacle display, and we have a bunch of steering wheel buttons on both sides, cruise control buttons, adaptive cruise, lane keep assist, and then stereo buttons here. You will notice there is an actual button on here, an actual physical button that's actually attached to the screen, and in the middle of the screen is where you can turn on or turn off power to the radio. And as you notice, there's no sound. I think it's just because I'm on Sirius radio right now and it's not able to get to a satellite because of the metal roof in my garage. But it's kind of cool to have an actual physical button on the screen. I think that's interesting. Their decision to go with a portrait screen and a binnacle over here is reminiscent of some other EVs that we're all familiar with. You have your typical windshield wiper stock over here, directional stock over here. This right here, this bar, you probably see the blinking lights on both sides. That's going to be for Ford's version of autopilot. And Ford's autopilot is actually called co-pilot. So not autopilot, but co-pilot assist, which some may agree is a better name for it. And right now it's not to the fully hands-off stage that it will be. I believe middle of this year it'll be full hands-off. Right now it will require you, just like a Tesla will when it's an autopilot, to have your hands on the wheel. And we'll test that out today and see how confidence inspiring that is. So the gear shift is actually down here, and you can see it's just a dial. If we shift to reverse here, let me do that. Alright, as you can see, it brings up a bunch of cameras. We have your backup camera here. We have a 360 bird's eye view of the vehicle. And then there's some other options that we can change here. If we hit this, it then shows us like how close we are to obstacles around us. And if we use this one here, you'll notice down here it's just going to change the screen to a much wider angle display. So you definitely have some different options. And here's your park assist. You can turn that off if you don't want to hear any of the park assist noise. We'll go ahead and turn that back on. And yeah, we're going to go through a bunch of settings in here today. But one thing I want you to notice, as you know, EVs are required to make a noise at below, I believe it's 19 miles per hour. So let's go ahead and roll down the window so you can hear the noise that the Mach-E makes when it's in reverse. I'm not a big fan, but let's go ahead and listen to that. So you have the typical humming sound that a lot of EVs have when they're in drive or reverse, but in reverse, it has this beeping sound. Let's shift it into drive here, see what we get. Okay, so we just get the same humming sound, but the beeping goes away. As soon as I shift it back into reverse, yeah, beeping comes right back. But it is what it is. Federal mandate for all electric vehicles. I think since September of 2019, they started coming out with this. So it is what it is. You'll notice there is also a low gear on here. So going down hills, there's a low gear. There is one pedal driving. Let's get rid of the cameras here. And we'll put this thing back in park. And if you go into car settings, there's a lot of car settings in here. These are the first thing that happens when you pull in here is you get your drive modes. Right now we're at unbridled, and if you're not sure what any of these are, it absolutely tells you. Accelerating drive, acquiring signal. That's because we're in my garage. Exhilarating drive, machine and road align as one. Ooh. And then whisper mode is seamless drive, calm and quiet. And then engage is probably what maybe some people will drive in. I don't know. It's the balanced drive, fun and engaging. I've played with all of these. I do notice I get the most regen and unbridled, so I tend to use the unbridled one when I'm driving. And there are some other key options here. See, one pedal driving, I have that on. This will come to a complete stop and hold, which is fantastic. Propulsion sound, that's fun. You can turn this on and it I guess pipes through fake exhaust or engine noise into the car. It's hard to pick up. I don't know if you can hear it. It was a little, I guess, engine sound, or maybe it's trying to mimic an exhaust sound. I'm not really sure. It's really quiet. It's hard to determine if you can hear it or not. Okay, ready? Let's try one more time. Hopefully you guys can hear it. It's certainly not super noticeable. I guess my complaint with it, if you're gonna add a propulsion sound, make it audible. Like, make it really audible. I don't know. That's just my my 2 cents. We can play around with that, see if we can hear it, see if the mic picks it up. It's interesting. Obviously down here, all your climate controls. For you, again, you got your heated seats, and you can, slide those up to whatever level of heat that you want. You have a heated steering wheel, which is nice. Your fan controls, if you need to go into them. Rear window defogger, and there's other climate controls in here. These are basically your modes. This is how you can switch from dual to not dual. For the dual zone automatic climate control, right here is where you would take it off, put it back on. And then of course these are just the different aspects of where your air is going to flow depending on what you turn on. Most of us are really familiar with just hitting the auto button and calling it a day. And we'll take that off. Obviously you do have your max AC and recirculation also in here, but it's odd that you have to go to a separate screen in order to get to that. But it's not bad. I mean, the majority of the controls that you use are right here at your fingertips, and that works great. Down here you've got, you can your phone options, you got tire pressure, so if you hit that button it's going to pop up the tire pressures of all the wheels here, which is convenient. Back to the navigation screen. This is a very responsive infotainment system. Actually, it responds to the touch very well. Very happy with how that is. I don't think there's really any complaints there. See some of these modes on the side. We've got camera modes, which just again bring up your cameras for you. It even has a front camera, so if you get close in the front, it automatically turns on the camera, which will prevent any scrapage of the front bumper or anything like that. Parking options, access, driver assist, and then you've got additional settings here, and there's quite a lot of them. So you've got general display, clock, connectivity, vehicle hotspot, mobile apps. This does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which is really nice. Voice control options in here. You can set some of these up, preferred words and things like that. You've got this car will receive system updates as well. Tells you if you're up to date or not. I'm not sure if that's actually going to populate, being that we're in the garage, but no, it did. Your system is up to date as of right now. You can make your vehicle a hotspot, which is kind of a cool feature that some other EV manufacturers are not doing right now. Display, this is what happens to your display. Do you want it calm, dark, light? General options in here. You got your tire pressure units and language in Fahrenheit or Celsius and things like that. Vehicle settings. Gonna be quite a few of those. You can even set your phone up to be a key. That's similar to some other EVs that we're familiar with. And you've got a ton of different options in here. So power liftgate and all these different things that you can change. Driver assistance, what do you want to have on? Lane keeping assist, pre-collision assist, rear view camera. All these things are on right now. Auto hold, put that back on. Speed limit, assist, all these different cruise control, intelligent. We have intelligent cruise control on, lane centering. We will work with the co-pilot a little later on as we take this for a drive. But you can set up profiles just like you can in other EV manufacturers. So our state of charge right now, 62%. Also says it on the binnacle. And at 62% shows that we have 99 miles. This particular vehicle is the premium with the bigger battery, which is supposed to give us, I believe, a 270 mile EPA estimated range. This car does take into effect ambient temperatures outside and adjust the range accordingly. Phone, obviously, if you have Sirius XM. And just sound. This is where you're going to balance or fade the sound within the cabin. Oh yeah, one thing I did forget to show you all is ambient lighting. It does have ambient lighting. You can choose from these 7 colors. And yeah, my daughter likes purple, so she was in here and we changed it to purple. That's fine. Click on this button. It brings up all the things that you might want to adjust or touch or have at your fingertips. We have your Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, Bluetooth owner's manual, navigation, tire pressures, trips. All that information is right up here. That button, and go back into the car. Again, that brings back up your settings. And then when you're not in any of those car settings, you have your nav up here. You can make it smaller, which makes these buttons a little bigger, which also, as you can see, shows your tire pressures right here without actually having to click on it. But if you max the size of the navigation, as you see, you can't see that, and these become smaller buttons. So it really depends on what you're looking to do. Oops. Like I said, it is really responsive, and yeah, it's a decent system. I say let's take this thing for a drive, let's see what it's about, and we'll take a look at some other features. Does it have a frunk? How much space does it have? Rear cargo capacities, we'll take a look at that. See how peppy this thing is. Again, this is the premium version with the bigger battery. The GT is not out yet, so this is not the performance version. So we'll see how it compares to other EVs in its class. Let's take it for a spin. So I'll put it into drive, and off we are. Now, just in case you're wondering, the blinking lights that you may be able to see right here, you can't see these lights blinking with the human eye. It's just only something that the camera picks up. I just wanted to mention that. The co-pilot assist that Ford offers is going to be really similar to what Chevy has with their Super Cruise system. Exactly the same type of idea. System monitors your eyes, make sure you're paying attention to the road, and if you are, you won't have to have your hands on the steering wheel. However, just like with Super Cruise, the co-pilot assist is only going to be able to operate on mapped highways that are pre-programmed into their system. The regenerative braking in this is just as good as any other EV manufacturer that we've seen out there. One thing I can tell you is the ride on this vehicle is comfortable. The seats aren't the most comfortable seats. I've been in more comfortable seats in my vehicle. But the ride is much better. This vehicle rides more, I wouldn't say like a luxury vehicle, but like just an average, nice riding vehicle. So no complaints on the ride. I would say it's probably more comfortable than, you know, some of its rivals like the Tesla Model Y. I feel like that's a little bit more rough on the road. This is a lot more compliant and comfortable. However, the seats in the Model Y are a bit more comfortable. So give a little, take a little, right? Pros, cons. Okay, we've just pulled on to a secondary highway here, and let's go ahead and give the test of this co-pilot. As you can see, I have a green line on each side of the vehicle in the center of the binnacle here. And the button on the far left of the steering wheel turns on the co-pilot assist features. Let's go ahead and turn that on. And it should be, pretty soon you should see, there you go, a blue bubble surrounding the entire vehicle. Now I'm going to set the cruise up a little bit. Oops, sorry, that's the wrong one. Set the cruise up to about 55. Let's see how well it does. I'm going to keep my hands right here and see how long it takes before it asks me to put my hands on the wheel. There it goes. Keep hands on steering wheel. So I just put the hands back on, show that there's a little bit of force, and there you go. It's doing a good job. I don't have any complaints about how it's handling the system. Now, what happens if we want, again, ask me to put my hands on the wheels, what happens if we want to change lanes? Well, I know in a Tesla with just autopilot, we're not talking about full self-driving features, just the standard autopilot, you've got to disengage autopilot in order to move over to a lane. So if we put on our directional, as you see there, and now it gives us full access to just steer ourselves over to this lane. And once we turn the directional off, give it a second, and it comes right back. So I don't have to disengage anything. Essentially what's happening is when you put the directional or the indicator on, it's disengaging that section of the system. Now there's a turkey up here. So we're going to merge over here to avoid hitting this turkey that's just leisurely walking across the highway. Okay, so there we are. We're back in co-pilot assist So I kind of like the way that that system works. It doesn't disable the whole system, just disables it enough for you to go ahead and move it from one section to another. Now up here, this lane merges into one lane, so I'm kind of curious to see how this vehicle handles it. So I'm going to keep my hands on the steering wheel just to see what it wants to do. I think I put a little bit too much pressure on it, or it just couldn't determine where the road was based on how far apart those lane dividers were. There we go again. It's back on. And no lane markers wanted me to take control. So it's not bad. You know, if you're on an interstate or a secondary highway, I think you're fine. Again, and that's where this system is intended to be used. It is not intended to be used on secondary roads. I do know that Tesla systems work really well on secondary roads. I do it with mine all the time. But I've got full self-driving, so mine stops at stoplights and stop signs and all those things for me, and it does a really good job. This is not what this is intended for. So for what this system is intended for, it does a fantastic job. So I don't want to take away from that at all. I think Ford has delivered a really competent system here. Now, the elephant in the room is charging network. This system will use the Electrify America charging network. And we all know that right now, for most EVs, that's probably going to be the case. But Electrify America is not as robust as it should be and will be. I suspect within the next 5 years, that system is going to be just as good, hopefully just as good as Tesla's supercharger system. Just going to take some time and more EV adoption before the system gets built out to be a little bit bigger. It's a little bit more cumbersome to use depending on the vehicle. I've heard with Mach-E you can just plug right in and it charges. Now I don't know this for sure. Unfortunately, I can't test it. I don't have an Electrify America anywhere near me where I am in Vermont, so I can't test that. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at some of just the interior amenities and what it has, and then we'll step outside and take a look at the frunk and the cargo area and the room in the back seat. Keep in mind I'm 6'2". I have the seat where I feel comfortable with it, and we're going to see what kind of leg room we have in the rear behind my seat. But first off, let's take a look at just the center console, glove box, things like that. Okay, so as you see, we have, you know, 2 cup holders. This section right here, you see it has the lightning bolt on it. That signifies that that is indeed the charging location for your phone, and that works great. I'm using a USB-C right now to charge my other batteries for my GoPro. That's also working great. Here we've got your parking brake, your mandatory physical button. I believe that's federally mandated to have a physical button for your hazard lights, and then we have this is a park assist button, and we'll try that out today. Let's see, we have an armrest here. It's not adjustable. It does not slide forward or backwards. It does lift up, and when it lifts up, in here we have this roll-away cover, and not really sure you can see in here, but we'll try. And here we've got a 12-volt plug-in, and there's even a little spot right here where you can stick the key. So this car, like I said, you can connect this to your phone or make your phone a key, but this does have a key. And you'll notice and a lot of the things in this car, you're not going to see a lot of Ford emblems. You see, this is just the Mustang emblem, and then you have your key, lock, unlock, hatch, and panic, your typical buttons that you see, but no Ford. Same thing with the steering wheel. Again, I'm sorry, it's upside down. I have the wheel turn right now, but again, no Ford symbol, just the Mustang. But anyway, pretty deep storage down there. Let's take a look at the glove box and see what kind of room we have in there. So, you know, here's our owner's manual, looks like, or at least quick guides. It's not big. We've got door bins, not real deep, but there's a deep pocket on the back side over here. Let's take a look at controls here. So we can fold the mirrors in here, child locks here. You can choose which mirror here, and obviously you can adjust your mirrors there. We got all 4 buttons here, which I prefer to have 4 buttons. I'm not a big fan of Volkswagen's new ID4 system, where you've actually got to hold for a second the button to activate the 2 only window switches you have to then make them work for the rear. I think that's a little bit more complicated than it needs to be, but pretty much German. Over here you've got this is your release. It's an electronic release still, but it's a actual handle as opposed to a button like you might find in a Tesla. So you just pull the button and that releases. You have your, of course, you know, headlight options and brightness of your display. Right now we're on auto for headlights, which I think is where everyone is going to leave that. You do have memory seating configurations, lock, unlock. You know, what's nice about this is it's got plenty of tech, but it's also got some other features in here that are just like your average normal car. It's got nice white contrast stitching in the leather of these black seats, and across the dash has a nice fabric that actually goes along and blends in with the fabric that's on the Bang & Olufsen stereo system, which is a really decent stereo system. Let's go ahead and see what kind of legroom we have in the rear. Okay, so to get in the rear, you'll notice in the front we have the button, and then we have a little handle to pull on, open it up. In the rear, you'll notice this door goes up a little bit higher. So what they've done is they've given you the same button, and it does push the door open, but there's no handle to grab here. What they're expecting for the most part is that children are going to be getting in and out of here, so they're really just going to grab the door right here or wherever they can and just pull it open. And now you're thinking to yourself, okay, well, if children are going to be doing that, well, what's to prevent them from getting their fingers pinched? Well, check this out. You hit the button, you stick your fingers in here. I can't shut this door. I'm pushing on it. It will not shut. You've actually got to pull the door away before it will allow you to shut the door. So let's go ahead and sit in here and see what kind of legroom I have in here. Okay, this seat is very far back. My knees are kind of touching the front seat, but not uncomfortably. I've got plenty of headroom, probably at least 3 to 4 inches of headroom above me, and plenty of leg room or foot room down here because I can stick my feet underneath the seat in front of me. That works. The entire glass roof is reminiscent of pretty much every EV on the market, or car in general these days that are coming out. It does not open, but it does give a beautiful view, especially if you're a rear seat passenger. You will notice there's grab handles, all 4. You do have a button here so you can turn on reading lights, and that's on both sides in the rear. You do have a fold down armrest, and in that armrest, of course, you have cup holders. I don't see a pass-through. These seats do fold down, 60/40 though. So let's take a look at the rear cargo. You're looking back here, no Ford emblem, just the Mustang emblem. Like I said, you're not going to find a lot of Ford emblems. I think there's one on the front on the windshield. Now, getting into the rear cargo area, there is a button way down here, which is quite a bend actually. I'm not really a big fan of where the button is to open that up. But you do have a button on the key fob, which I showed you earlier. You also have this fun feature, which actually works really well. It's actually one of the most reliable ones I've seen. You've got the kick swipe. Look at that. So you got a decent amount of cargo space in here. Here's obviously the floor mats in here. Not a ton of under floor storage. in this bag here, you do have your charging cables, and then of course you have a pump, and you know, in case you get a flat tire, because there are no spare tires. Most EVs, I think you'll find, do not have spare tires. So not a ton of room underneath. You do have a 12 volt here for another charging. And with the seats folded down, you just push this button up here and you can fold the seats forward. And you can do that obviously on both sides, 60/40. And with the seats folded down, I believe you have 52 cubic feet of storage area back here. I'll check that and put it up in the top of the screen here, whether that is correct or not. And of course, to close, you have your typical button that you can press, but if your hands are full, as you can see again, we can just swipe and be done. I must say, out of all the foot swipe detectors I've seen on these vehicles, this is probably one of the best. Let's take a look at the Frunk, or let's hope there's a Frunk. Let's see what it has. First of all, we got to figure out how to get in there. Okay, so just like as if this was an internal combustion engine vehicle, you do have a pull lever. Now you see it says 2X here. So that's a little bit odd. Apparently we have to pull this twice. So let's go ahead and do that. 1, 2. Now let's go open up the Frunk. It does have hydraulic hood struts, both sides. It doesn't open up very high. This is as high as it opens. Let me just show you the angle on that. Not real high. If you're bending in to get anything out of here, you do have the likelihood of hitting your head on here if you're a tall person like me. That can be a bit awkward. Now, what a lot of you are thinking is, wow, this is actually a pretty decent size storage, but this thing is kind of a pain. If you don't, I mean, you could put if this wasn't here, you could put an actual, you know, suitcase or carry-on in here. No problem for the airport. Well, you know, they've thought of that. This is just something they add in here in case you want to be able to segregate your storage, kind of like a built-in, you know, organized storage system, really. But with just 6 little clips, there's one here, one down there, and one here. Same thing on the other side. This comes right out, and then you do have the full storage in here. So it's a pretty decent size Frunk, no complaints there. You look back there, it does have a, I don't know if you can see that down there, has right there, that is drainage. So you can fill this with ice, make it a cooler, and it will drain down through. We also have, of course, some of the only maintenance you do on an EV, which is your windshield washer fluid. That's right there. And because they know that this divider comes out, they have gone ahead and by federal mandate, they have installed the escape if I've been kidnapped in your Frunk scenario. Although you would have to be a really small child to be stuffed in here, even with this removed. Let's go ahead and shut the Frunk. And just like everything else, give it one solid push and it shuts down nice and solid. This is the premium with the bigger battery. It stickers for $55,800. So that's a little bit more expensive than the Model Y dual motor, which is what this is directly competitive with. However, Ford still has that $7,500 rebate that you can apply to it, so that brings it right down into a very comparable price range with the Model Y. The 0 to 60 on this particular version is 4. Got a plane flying overhead here. Sorry about that. We have a small little airport just down the road for some of these general aviation aircraft. 4.8 seconds, 0 to 60. The GT version of this, 3.5 seconds, 0 to 60. It's got plenty of pickup. This is definitely a quick vehicle, folks. This isn't something that's a slouch by any means, especially for something that is as heavy as this vehicle is. Charging port right here says important, push once. I like how it opens all the way up. You don't have to pull it open. That's nice. And of course, this is your typical level 2 charging. And if you're at a DC fast charger, if you can find one with Electrify America, there you go, folks. Right there, you'll pull that down, you'll plug it right in there, and you'll get your fast charging done. The fast charging should be very much compatible, or comparable, I should say, with Tesla's supercharger network. You do have louvers down here that will open if the battery needs more cooling. This is an active battery management system in here, so unlike Nissan's Leaf, this will keep the battery at a decent ambient temperature to preserve the life of the battery. That's good to know. Now, let's go ahead and test the auto park or park assist feature that this has. Let's see how it does. Okay, so I'm going to select the park assist button. And we're going to go ahead and click active park assist. And here's where we get to choose. Right here on the top, this is for parallel parking. Right here is perpendicular parking, and that's what we're going to do. And you can tell by the way that the cars are laid out. If I go back to parallel parking, you see that they're all in a row like that. And if I click the perpendicular parking, it shows that they're like this. So what we're going to do is we're going to find a spot. There it goes. It did spot one right there. So what it first tells us to do is shift into neutral. So you can't do it here. We're in neutral. And now we're going to have, it says release brake, and to start, hold the park button. So let's hold the park button. Now let's see what this does. I have my foot covered on the brake. Not really sure where it's going here. There it goes. I'm going to park in here. It's going to pull forward now. I'm still holding my button on the park assist. Right now I'm trusting it as much as I can. I am covering the brake. It's going to back up again. Let's see if it can sneak in here. All it's going to do is basically back up straight. I don't know why it's turning that way, but let's trust it. Getting close to the wall in back of us. There we go, folks. As you see, it gave us a finish flag there. I don't know if you noticed that. Give it another try. I'm curious if I just want to make sure. I want to try it twice. I want to make sure that this works more than just one time. So let's go down here, and we will try one more option. There we go. It does find a spot here. Let's put it in a neutral with the gear selector, and let's hold down the park assist button. Let's see how she does. There. Hopefully it should park right next to this Honda is my hope. I am covering the brake. Okay, it looks like it's going to go ahead and pull forward and line itself back up with the lines here. Still holding that park assist button. I don't know why it does that. It makes me nervous that it gets that close, but I'm gonna let it do it. And let's see how it does. Perfect, folks. Okay, folks, well, that's it. Thanks for joining me on another episode of TM3 Life. I hope you enjoyed my personal review on the Mustang Mach-E premium version with the extended battery. If you like this video, please go ahead and smash that like button. Again, the more times that like button is smashed, the more this video is shared around and other people can see it as well. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And as always, let's keep those batteries charged.